item on public presenters, but I think it would be good to add an item for public presenters just before the superintendent's report. And then also, under new business, we do have item A1, and that would be discussion and consideration of hiring an additional junior high track coach for the spring of 2016 season, single season contract.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as changed?
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Public presenters.
We have none?
If not, I would like to read this statement from
Should I?
chapter 21, or chapter 2098 of Iowa Code. The term open meeting means that the meeting is open to the public to observe and listen to the proceedings of the meeting. The term open meeting does not mean the public may join the board's discussion as of this code. Superintendent's report.
Just an item on our general obligation bonds in the range of feasible refinancing. Recently, Andrea and I received information from Matt Gillespie, who's the Senior Vice President for Public Finance at Piper Jaffray and Company in Des Moines. Our general obligation bonds for the new middle school and elementary expansion project are now in the range of a feasible refinancing. There are two scenarios Andrea and I want to review with the staff at Piper Jaffray. One scenario is maintaining the existing payment structure through 2026, and that's when the bond issue will be completed. But lowering the annual interest in principal and interest payments. The other scenario involves keeping the annual principal and interest payments about the same, but shortening the existing payment structure and paying the bonds off faster. And from preliminary figures that Matt shared with Andrea and with me, the scenario that is the best financially is if we continue the existing principal and interest payment structure, but then cut some years off at the end. And so we'll be talking with Matt and his staff probably later on this spring or summer. This is something, the soonest that can happen is during 2017. So we have some time. That we're about halfway through the 20-year issuance at that point, and that's when typically if there is a benefit in refinancing, we look at it. When we sold those bonds, they were like in about the 4% range, 4 plus, I think. And when we did the sales tax revenue bonds for the high school addition project, it was at 2% something. So staying at that rate, we're looking at hoping we can realize some benefit on that. So we'll keep you posted on that, and hoping that things work out favorably. Also, just an update on spring and summer facility improvement projects. The early arrival of spring weather conditions has provided Jim Edelman and our staff an opportunity to get a head start on buildings and grounds projects such as spring seeding and athletic field preparation. Some major projects that will be completed during the spring and summer months include seal coating the high school, re-roofing the southwest section of the elementary building, re-roofing the bus barn, and completing the LED lighting and ceiling tile grid project in the elementary building. And that'll bring that elementary totally around with LED lighting that really brightens things up in there, new ceiling tile. And that's another reason, as you are aware, we wanted to finish up that southwest section on the roof, because we just had a few spots where it was kind of starting to show some leakage, and we don't want that to drip on our new ceiling tile. So that's all I have.
No other items?
No other items.
Did we get a grant on the lighting?
We do get a
Couple years.
rebate, yeah.
You get a rebate.
Yeah, we get a good deal on the LED lighting. Mid-American does provide that, and Jim has a few more details on that, but yeah, we benefit from, it's a little more upfront cost, but overall we get a rebate on that, so it saves us money. It's a good thing to do.
Old business, discussion, consideration of approving the second and final reading of updated board policies 403.5, 601.2, 602.5, 603.8, 604.2, 605.4, 900.1, 900.10, and 902.5.
We did include the old and new in your packet from last week. Andrea and I did not do that again for this week, but you guys are aware. This is the review we did in January when we do our annual policy review on those sections, and these were the ones that we made some amendments for the updating.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion, consideration of hiring, this is new business, discussion, consideration of hiring a senior class sponsor for the 2016-17 school year.
Mr. McDonough and I recommend the board approve hiring Karen Anderson, our new high school math teacher, for this position.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion consideration of hiring an additional junior high track coach for the 2016 season. This will be a single season contract.
This is something we've done for several years, and we always wait to see just what we get in terms of numbers, but as you're aware, we usually talk about this in February and said we will approve this if we have some numbers that warrant it. We've got 66 boys and girls out for junior high track, and so we have Mr. Anderlick as our boys coach and Tricia Jackson as our girls coach. Shelley Brown has helped for several years in this position if we needed an additional person, and she is willing to do that again, and Mr. Privy and I would recommend that the board hire her for this position, single season contract.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion consideration of approving overnight stays for the Spanish students participating in the June 2016 trip to Mexico.
I've attached information from Susie Knott regarding the proposed June of 2016 trip to Colima, Mexico. Mr. McDonough and I do recommend board approval. As you're aware, we had a group of about, I think it was four students do that last summer. It was a very nice trip. Susie's done a nice job establishing a nice relationship with the school down there. I think they're gonna be joining, there's a school in Davenport. I think it's Assumption. Yeah, it's Davenport Assumption. And so they also participate in this exchange with the school in Colima.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion and consideration approving the use of bus transportation to require students to perform at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln on Sunday, April 17, 2016.
I've attached some information from our vocal music teacher, Eric Weiler, regarding the proposed performance by our choir on the UNL campus on Sunday, April 17th. Just a little background on that, Mr. Weiler is working on his master's degree in Lincoln, and he's become friends with a Russian student who's getting his doctorate in music at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And part of the doctoral program of the Russian student is to write his own composition and then perform it for his professors. And he asked Eric if our high school would sing his composition. And so our students have already been practicing a little bit. The Russian student and his parents have visited our school, and the lyrics are in Russian. And so it's really a neat opportunity. And so our students will go down to Lincoln on Sunday the 17th, and they'll perform, and the Russian composer will be their director. And so it's a neat thing. In fact, it's something that would be kind of fun if people are interested just to go and watch it. I think that's a real tribute to our students, and also special thanks to Mr. Weiler for all his efforts in doing this.
And that's just our students who will be performing?
Just our Underwood High School choir.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion consideration of of adding a special education teacher at the middle school for the 2016-17 school year in order to meet state's special education staffing requirements.
Our AEA special education consultant, Jessica Willier, in conjunction with other AEA and state consultants, Mr. Prygan, Mr. McDonough, and all of our special education teachers have been examining our special education enrollment numbers and the weightings of the students involved. Based upon their review and analysis and the need to be in compliance with state special education staffing requirements, I'm recommending board approval of adding a special education teacher at the middle school for the 16-17 school year.
So this is like a requirement, right? That we
Yeah.
have to meet
Yeah.
by the state.
Yeah, they've got their ratios and, you know, and we've done all the work on terms of who the students we have are now, who's coming up from preschool into kindergarten, who's coming up from 5th grade into 6th grade, who's going from 8th grade to 9th grade and so on. And we've got a bulge that's showing up at the middle school level. We kind of thought we might be able to have one of our elementary teachers possibly spend some time here in the middle school, kind of share back and forth, but with numbers we've got coming up from pre-K, we're just not going to be able to do that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion consideration of approving open enrollment request for Ayla Holstein to attend Underwood during the 2016-17 school year.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion consideration of approving open enrollment request for Corbin Hyatt to attend Underwood during the 2016-17 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I was just curious, I see you have several siblings, are they already in the school district, or are they?
They are, yes, yeah. Mhm. And all three of these, by the way, will be kindergartners next year. They are boys and girls that we did have some awareness of that they were coming, so.
Are any of them in preschool now?
I think
Okay.
at least two of them are.
Okay, thank you. Motion was made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion consideration approving the open enrollment request for Hunter Hune to attend Underwood during the 2016-17 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion and consideration of approving the school district's FY 2014-15 school year financial audit.
We did receive the audit back, and Andrea did include an electronic copy for you in the packet, but we have a hard copy for you to look at tonight and to hang on to. The audit typically takes place in the end of July or first part of August each year, but it takes a while by the time they get all the paperwork done to get it back to us. So this is about the time of year that we get it back. Andrea and I are going to divide up our review with you tonight. I'm going to handle the first half, and then Andrea will focus on the second half. The four main areas that we want to talk about tonight would be, first of all, management's discussion and analysis. That's on page 7 of your audit. So if you turn to page 7, I'll cover those pages. After that, we have basic financial statements that start on page 17, and I'll cover some key figures in the basic financial statements. And then Andrea will review parts 3 and 4. Now, part 3, findings related to the financial statements, and that starts on page 65. And then the last one Andrea will talk about is findings related to required statutory reporting, and that's on page 66. So on page 7, management's discussion and analysis, the first item I want to touch base on would be the financial highlights. And you'll notice in your audit, they talk about during the 14-15 school year, our general fund revenues increased from $7,679,179 in fiscal year 2014 to $7,857,271 in fiscal year 2015. While general fund expenditures decreased,